Peace, what up? It's your man ImaG. Shout out to Stuck in the Middle Podcast, man. We just had a dope interview talking about business, STEAM, this music. Definitely go check it out right now on YouTube. Stuck in the Middle Podcast. Peace and love.
This is Stuck in the Middle Podcast. I am your host, Reflex. Got a special guest in the building, man. But first, if you are watching on YouTube, if you're listening, riding in your car, doing laundry, washing the dishes right now, do a screenshot, share the link with your loved ones and your enemies. We want to grow. Appreciate y'all. Subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment on that good stuff, leave a review so we grow the algorithm. It's going to help us. You feel me? SitM Podcast.com is the website if you want to write for us, /blog if you want to shop. I'm Reflex. Got a special guest in the building, man. He is the founder of the Swaliger Foundation. He's an educator. He's a hip hop musician. He goes by ImaG. Welcome to the podcast, bro.
Peace. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Listen, we're actually recording a few hours late because you actually were in class.
Yeah, so it's crazy, man. Thank you for your patience again, bro.
Yeah.
I actually had to teach 2 workshops today.
Wow.
My day started at 10 a.m. over at Potomac Gardens. We do this monthly digital exchange. Mm-hmm. We'll get into more of that later, but all of our students from around the world, Nigeria, Rwanda, South Africa, Brazil, we do like a STEAM workshop where, they get to share, we do music, a lot of cool stuff. We made ooblik today.
Ooblik, what's that?
You never heard of ooblik?
Nah, bro.
Never heard of ooblik?
I'm sure my age. I'm sure my dumbness. I'm early.
No, check it. Look, if you haven't heard of it, it's cool. So ooblik is a non-Newtonian substance. Basically, it's both a solid and a liquid. Mm. The cool thing about it, you could do so many activities. We learned about pressure, force. Mm-hmm. All you need is cornstarch and water. That's literally it.
Yeah.
And it it's kind of like slime a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But lots of fun doing that. Had to run back home to the lab and I had a workshop with Jack and Jill of New Jersey. So they had like a group on. We did some cool stuff, did some music. And now I'm here.
Man, you are a busy man.
Yeah.
So you here because you in the STEAM and STEM, science, math, technology, all that great stuff. And actually you did a TED Talk. I want to say back in like 2005 years ago.
Yeah.
And you said the education system is failing our kids. How do you mean?
Yeah, man. So traditional education wasn't designed for us, wasn't designed for this time either. And it becomes more clear every day, right? Like when you have all of these kids, speaking in DC specifically, are on independent learning plans or getting suspended or having all these issues when really we're not taught the same way that we learn. And what I mean by that is everybody in here learned the ABCs. Everybody listening to this, if you can read, you learn your ABCs. But how do we learn it? Through a song. Mm-hmm. A, B, C, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
After we get to school, they start putting all these books in front of us. We got to sit down for hours on end and just hear people talk. And that's the case across most of the country. So what we found with STEAM education is that when you include the arts, not only are you getting that cultural element, you're speaking their language. There's like a disconnect with young people and teachers. Mm-hmm. So you're speaking their language, but then they retain the information better, right? You put it in a song, you got 4-year-olds out here that can recite a whole album, like a whole hip hop album.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So we know that learning has to involve music in some way, particularly STEM education has to involve the arts.
So I read that your grandfather was a chemist.
This is true. Yeah.
Is that how you got your passion for, science and technology and arts?
Great question. I think that had something to do with it. So my grandfather, he always used to say, your strongest muscle is your brain. Mm-hmm. He used to say that all the time. And I think his love of learning and science is part of what, led me to where I am today. He was a chemist, used to work for the Navy, used to trailblazer in his own right. But I think for me, I was always kind of just interested in math and science, you know what I'm saying? And me getting a degree in architectural engineering, I had to kind of use what I learned from that and put it with the music, you know what I'm saying? So that, even though I didn't go the traditional route with being an engineer, the stuff that I saw there kind of even furthered my passion for, just a lot of the cool stuff that's happening right now with technology and science.
So you grew up knowing him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Where I'm from, most people don't meet their grandparents. They
Really?
pass before before your time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
How many siblings do you have?
I have a younger brother and a younger sister.
Where did you attend college and what did you study?
Drexel University, architectural engineering.
How the heck you end up,
Your face. He's like, bro, what? Yeah,
Where's that at? Where's Drexel at?
Philly.
Okay, yeah.
Shout out to Philly, man. I got fam out there too, West Philly. My fam's from North Philly.
West Philadelphia.
Born and raised. You already know. That's real life.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, the quick version of that story, I've always been into music. Loved music. Got a record deal when I was 17.
Oh, wow.
Thought I was going to just continue to focus on music. For whatever reason, the deal fell through. My parents had to talk with me like, bruh, so now what you about to do? You know what I'm saying?
At 17, yeah.
At 17. So after I graduated, I went to a science and tech high school. I graduated from Flowers and I decided to go into engineering. So I heard they make a lot of money. That was the initial thinking, right? Oh, it's going to be a breeze. I get there, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
That's why a lot of people shy away from it.
It's like, oh, you never swam before? It's cool. Come on, we about to hop in the ocean.
Right. Yeah.
So it, quickly humbled me in that regard. But I think from there, what it taught me, I tell my youngins all the time, I don't remember every equation, every topic that we studied, but I learned how to think like an engineer. And I just combined that with the music. And then when I came back home to DC, just seeing the disparity between math and science skills, that skills transfer just wasn't really there. So understanding how I could kind of infuse the arts with it, combine it back to my music, and then, keep my parents happy as well that I'm still using my engineering degree in some form or fashion by teaching it. But yeah, man, it's definitely been a road from there to here for sure.
For context, mainly for me, what is the difference between STEM, STEM, and STEAM, STEAM?
Excellent question. The quick answer to that is the arts. Science, technology, engineering, and math are subjects. And STEM has become a lot more popular, because that's really what's happening. With us going into this new century, all of these different industries are changing, and all of them are connected to STEM. And the U.S. is behind. So when you talk about STEAM, that really, you're not only adding that extra A to the acronym, but it's about teaching all of it at once. If you're just still doing, okay, right now we're going to learn math. Okay, right now we're going to go to science class. Then you're not giving the students the proper tools to operate in this world. You got to be able to multitask. You got to be able to think critically. You got to be able to, okay, I got to add this up because we're talking about geological soil, so I got to know that. Plus, I got to use the technology right here to, so it's a combination of those things. That's how you get STEAM.
Deep. Going back to college in Philadelphia, I read while in Philadelphia, you battled with a mild form of depression, which, as a college student, you want to party, you want to live it up weekend, led you into some trouble with the law, and eventually birthed your foundation, the Swaliga Foundation. Break down that story for us, please.
Man, that's quite a story. So, I've begun to talk about it more recently, but it was really because I wasn't doing music, bro. And that's why I always encourage people, know your purpose, know your passion. You know what I'm saying? Once I graduated, here I am in Philly, supposed to be studying engineering, not really the best student.
All right.
And my grades started to slip, you know what I'm saying? Wasn't... we were more so throwing parties
than being in class.
Shout out my man Kojo. Hey, we used to have the best parties in West Philadelphia. I can say that with confidence because, it wasn't a lot to do then at Drexel. So, while that was fun and well and good, I wasn't focused on why I was there. And it happened gradually, but I started to just not care anymore. And then I got to that point where dean of my school was like, bro, do you want to be here?
Yeah.
Like, it can happen one of two ways. So after I got on academic probation, it was a wake-up call. You know, I had that real conversation with myself. Like, all right, now I'm 3 years in at this point. Do I finish or do I, just call it quits? But what happened was I decided to finish, and literally around that same time, I met a homie that's now actually the chairman of our board for Swaliga Foundation. Shout out to Adrian Liu, but who's also a musician, right? And I connected with a studio that was literally a block from my house that I did not know was there while I was in Philly. You know, all of these things kind of happen around the same time, and it immediately clicked. Like, yo, the reason that I'm not really sleeping, I don't even want to hang out with nobody no more. You know what I'm saying? Grades slipping, everything is going bad. It's like I'm not even using my outlet. Music, I've been doing music for years at that point, kind of just naturally. So once it was gone, or I wasn't recording music, I wasn't making beats no more, it started to make sense. Like, all right, but you have to still, live inside of everything else that's happening. So that was kind of the shift. But it was a lot, man. I mean, from, getting into fights, getting, arrested a couple of times. I mean, it got crazy. But what happened was that last time I'm sitting in the courtroom in Philly after the arraignment and talking to this guy. He's supposed to tell me what I got to do to, get this off my record, finish this program, all this other stuff. He just kind of stops in the middle of it. And he's like, yo, do you know why you're here? And then I was like, yeah. He was like, no. And he put the paper to the side. He was like, you're here because you need love. He was like, you're missing something. You're supposed to be a leader. You're not even supposed to be in this situation. And then he just starts breaking it down. Now I'm almost in tears sitting in the hallway in this courtroom in Philadelphia. This complete stranger. I don't know this man. We never met. He's telling me all of these things, speaking into my life. And he ends it with, yo, you're supposed to shepherd an organization. He doesn't tell me what the name of it, what the mission, nothing. He's just like, yo, you're supposed to shepherd an organization and help your peers find their purpose. And then he's like, you don't even have to believe anything that I'm telling you. What you take from this is up to you. But I need you to know that. Fast forward, that was 4/20/2011. And I'll never forget that date because I was in court on 4/20. But fast forward 6 months later, I go to St. Martin with my cousin, my aunt, beautiful vacation. And there we learned about Swaliga. I saw the sign right there, you know what I'm saying? And we was like, yo, that's it. And I'd been thinking about that every single day from that conversation, trying to figure out, all right, well, what does that mean, basically, right? Thankfully, I graduated going into 2012. That very next summer, came back to DC and just hit the ground running. We had our first event August 12th, 2012. You know what I'm saying? And from there, it kind of just evolved into really just want to empower these young people, man. I think if more people can find out what they're passionate about, what they love to do at an earlier age, it changes their trajectory, you know what I'm saying? And can avoid some of the pitfalls, some of the stuff that I had to do to get to this point. And that's really what we're doing with Swaliga Foundation.
I love it. I was going to ask you in essence what Swaliga Foundation is, but you just kind of break it down. So when did you officially launch?
Yeah, so we founded the foundation was officially registered in DC, I should say, in November of 2012. You know what I'm saying? And from there, we are official 501c3.
And who you partner with? You know what I mean? Like, so what in what regard are you serving? Like schools, or it's just a standalone foundation?
Yeah, man. So we have tons of partners. Schools, as you mentioned, a lot of schools in DC.
Yeah.
We have a lot of other nonprofits that want to expose their students to STEAM that we work with. A lot of companies as well, that are trying to figure out how they can give back, how they can connect the students. We partner with them. All of our programs are at little to no cost to the youth or families that we serve. A lot of our funding comes from government funds, grant funds, and other sponsorships. And it's designed that way for a reason, because this is about closing the achievement gap, closing the learning gap. So we got to make it accessible, right? So we always partner with other nonprofits for that reason, as well as schools, just to make sure that our students can access the programs.
So why DC?
Well, for one, I was born here, and if you just look at the numbers statistically, it's like DC, even though it's the nation's capital, has one of the lowest graduation rates. That was always just weird to me. It never really made sense. You know what I mean? Or even if you look at the murder rate in DC per capita compared to every other city in the country, it's like, well, if this is supposed to be the nation's capital of the most powerful country in the world, why, is the murder rate so high in these specific places though? Not even the whole city, not even the whole city. So I was like, yeah, we got to start at home for this thing to really do what it needs to do. If it can work here, it can work other places. And that's why we originally started in DC. And now, we've been able to establish partnerships. Shout out to the Global Education Exchange Coalition. Our partners out in Houston, South Union, partners out in LA, Village Family Minus. And, all of us under that same mission have kind of now been able to expand our reach. So now we're working with young people, just like I mentioned the workshop earlier today. You had all of these people on at the same time, really just learning from each other. And that's that cultural exchange piece too. You know what I'm saying? And I think with DC being as international as it is, that's one of the dope things about DC as well. You have people here that are from all over the world. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very unique place.
Yeah. How difficult was it to start? How difficult has the journey been from when you launched to now to today? And what do you used to struggle with, and how you overcome it?
Oh man, it's a lot, bro.
I bet, yeah.
So, anybody that listens to this, that if you've ever started a business or if you've even been interested in starting a nonprofit, it's not easy and you got to want it. So from 2012 to me kind of just figuring out, all right, well, what's our mission? Like, how are we going to give back, to now having established after school programs, cultural exchange programs. We're taking young people overseas. It's like there was a systematic approach to the point I didn't go full time with Swaliga until 2017. I started in 2012, was doing programming, starting just doing it for free, and then after a while, it started to have more structure. And that's how it goes. It just takes time. Like everything really comes together when it should. And I always like the quote, if you're going to go build a wall, you do it brick by brick. You don't just try to lift a whole wall up at the same time. It's just one piece, one step, and then everything falls into place.
Facts. Are you an educator in what regard? Like, you teach at school or?
Great question. So shout out to all the teachers, man. I always love to say I just play one on TV, but I don't teach in a traditional school, if that's what you mean. It's really from me just working with kids, bro, and just understanding how to connect with them, and it's a lot of, we're called out of school time educators. So whether it's after school, weekend, whatever, if it's a learning environment, it's really just about, are you connecting with them and are they getting something from you? So it comes from just being in tough situations, where not only do the kids not have to be there, like they are coming with their own free will, but it's a lot of other situations, trauma, whatever the case may be, that we got to understand how to connect with them. So it's just been on the ground training, I like to say.
So in 2017, you go full time as a musician, as a hip hop artist, and as a founder of Swaliga Foundation.
Yep.
How do you get funding? How do you, how do you eat?
Yeah, man. God is good, man. It has come to a point now where we've gotten some pretty substantial grants as of late, recently. And a lot of our funding does come from government funds, as I mentioned. DCPS is one of our partners, but I think before that, it really started to happen when, I realized the need. You have a lot of private schools, you have a lot of companies and businesses that pay for education, and it's $1 billion industry. So our goal, and one of my intentions, was to make Swaliga more of a social enterprise, meaning we don't just rely on donations and grants. We do generate revenue, and I think that's important for anybody that's in the nonprofit space, being able to generate your own revenue. But thankfully, we have a beautiful tribe. Our donations are what funded our 2019 trip that brought 10 students from South Africa to DC. That was all off the strength of the tribe. Like, no major sponsors, nothing, you know? And that's really what has carried us to this point. So now as we've begun to get more funding, we're expanding our impact, which is dope.
I'd imagine with you as a founder, you know, you're not just running around doing press runs like you're here today and educating and, you know, music and stuff. You shot at your man earlier, who's, you know, the chair of the board. What's the structure like as part of the foundation right now?
Yeah, man. So it's growing. It's growing. And that's been the fun part, right? It's because now I have to kind of figure out how to take myself out of the equation more.
Facts.
Like, I'm sitting here with blue hands because we was making oobleck earlier. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I might be in a board meeting or something. And that has been the case. But I think now what's dope is I have an amazing board of directors, you know, that provide support, a lot of the legal stuff, making sure that we keep our nonprofit status, that we're in compliance. All of the less fun stuff that takes time and it takes energy, you know, so they've been amazing in that regard. And then, of course, helping us to generate more funds and increase our impact. And then, you know, we just have a lot of teachers, man, teaching artists with different specialties that kind of just step in whenever we need it, whether it's a workshop, whether they're on a panel. They kind of help to keep our programming at a certain level, you know what I'm saying? And you know, other than that, it's just volunteers. We have a lot of people that just support our mission. They love what we do, and they come out and help, whether it be mentoring, whether it be just helping out at an event. We have a very strong volunteer base that we're blessed to have.
I'm going to get to ImaG, the musician, in a second. Real quick, somebody ever tell you look like Gary Temple?
Nah.
A basketball player. Look him up after.
Okay.
But what's the challenge, you know, with getting young people interested in science? You know what I mean? Like what's the real challenge with getting young people, you know, interested in engineering, science, math, technology?
Because they think it's boring. That's the challenge. We all have been conditioned to think that science is hard, that math is difficult, that all of this stuff doesn't relate to the real world. We just got to learn it in school.
Right.
A lot of stuff isn't true. So the challenge is just getting over that initial, all right, well, this is science, but this is just dope. Like, this is kind of fun. You know what I'm saying? So it's presenting it in different ways. And that's where the music comes in.
Exactly.
You know, so me just dropping this SitM Podcast album recently, that was really the whole goal, is to give you, now you're listening to music, hip hop music at that, something that you're accustomed to, but now it's just infused with all of these different scientific terms and engineering concepts. And when you're presented it in a different way, it's less, you know, it's more digestible. You know what I'm saying? Less intimidating for a lot of young people out there that are probably geniuses in their own right or could be great at science, but just don't really learn it in the same way that they're given it. So.
Talk about the album, SitM Podcast album, you know, like the creative process behind it and, you know, how you structured it and why.
Yeah, man. This is probably one of the most fun projects that I've ever had the pleasure of making. It was a labor. You know, I had to make this joint twice.
Why?
Literally, I made it once, and that's a longer story, but we had to redo the whole production. You know what I'm saying? And I had to just, you know, make all of the beats again. But I did that because not only are you getting information, but this joint is literally like the frequencies in the music. This joint is designed to make you feel better. This joint is designed to improve brain health. That's literally the purpose of SitM Podcast. So it was a labor of love. You know, I love being able to touch every sound on the album, but writing it was probably the most fun part. You know what I'm saying? Just figuring out how to, like I said, I took my first year of engineering school at Drexel and put it in a hip hop album. You know what I'm saying? So figuring out how to break down equations, but relate it to real life. And it actually, you know, it makes sense when you think about it. A lot of the science and physics that we learn is literally based on real life. Give you a perfect example. There's a song called Power. I'm breaking down what power is, and then I give the equation for power, which is work over time. Just think about that for a second. Like, literally, power equals work over time. And that in itself is a triple entendre because, you know, not only is that the equation for how you calculate it, but we get into life skills as well. Like what work are you putting in? Energy in equals energy out. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, y'all been doing this show for 4 years. That's dope. That's energy, right?
Yeah.
And it grows and it builds from there. So the album is infused with all of these types of things, which I'm really proud of.
So there'll be more albums like that and projects like that in the future for you.
They're in the oven right now, bro. The need. I literally started a whole subgenre, like steam hip hop.
Steam hip hop, yeah.
Steam hip hop, bro, because it's hip hop, but it's educational. And I know we were just talking about the ABCs. So this isn't the first album to ever teach information, right? But it is the first one to really kind of bring it all together where it's life skills in there too. I give you an example. I got a song called Pressure. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm breaking down the equation for pressure, which equals force. It's the force over that area. We breaking down these barriers like we riding around in a bulldozer. We too heavy. Who gonna hold this? Need tread for them steel rollers. Try presses, they still rolling. Same pressure that bust pipes could move a tank if it's used right. So that whole line has to be visual because not only I'm giving you examples of pressure, like on a tank, but I'm talking about protesting. Like, how do you move a tank? You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about what it's like to be a black man in America. Like, all of these things are in the album, but it's a curriculum as well. So there are definitely more Steam the Block projects on the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know these joints got to be out like yesterday. And I'm working with...
Drop them.
Yeah, man, it's coming. They're in the oven. And working with my students too, man. Shout out to the tribe. I know they're going to listen to this joint too, Swaliga Baby. And they're cooking up with me. My youngest, they produce, they write, we be in the lab, and that's part of how we learn. So I'm excited about this next project.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it too. So how many people would you say, this is subgenre now, steam hip hop? How many people would you say are doing what you're doing?
And you want me to be honest? Nobody. To be completely honest. But I have seen a lot more what's the term? Science communicators. I like that term. Science communicators. People that, whether they're artists or not, I've noticed a few artists that are now putting like science and STEM into music, which is dope. We need more of it. I love it. And then you have other people that they might not be an artist, but they're artistic, if you will. So they're just communicating this information in a different way, which is what I told you is really what's missing right now. So we need more of that.
Yeah.
But the goal is to, I know I kicked it off, but STEAM hip hop is meant to grow, and that's why we do it in class. I got my youngest writing raps about science right now because not only is it making all of us smarter, but it's going to help push this whole movement. So we need it.
Definitely. You mentioned earlier, connecting back home in Africa and bringing 10 students here. That's big. That's major. What are other plans you have for the continent in the future or even right now?
Yeah, man. That's home, bro. South Africa is home. I actually went to South Africa for the very first time in 2016, and it completely changed my life. 2015, I'm sorry, and it completely changed my life. And then the very next year was the first time we ever took students. We took 2, right, from DC. The year after that, 2017, we took 5. And then in 2018, we had 100 young people and educators from across the country meet us over in South Africa, Joburg, Eldorado Park specifically, shout out to Eldos, and engage in STEAM workshops, health and wellness. We did a whole music concert. I performed out there at the Soweto Theater. And that was kind of like, the culmination of all of this. None of it was planned, in that regard. And then 2019, it just came full circle because we were able to bring a group from there to here now. So it kind of just brought everything home. And for all of them, it was their first time even leaving South Africa, and ever coming to the United States. So for them to come to DC and have such a great time, it was, it was amazing, bro. Like I intend for us to do that more. Obviously, travel plans have been altered
definitely.
in a lot of ways, but our goal is to continue to create opportunities like that for our young people to travel, Right now, we're doing this digital exchange so that they can stay connected and keep those relationships strong and learn from each other.
Yeah.
Like that cultural piece, you can travel somewhere new, even if it's not out the country. If you go to a new city, a new state, you learn. It's like an intense amount of learning because all new information, right? So the cultural piece has to stay in there. We're going to connect with every country on the continent, the whole continent. Has to be a part of this movement because that's where the next tech revolution is taking place. Trust and believe. Like it has to be Africa.
It has to.
It has to be Africa. So we're getting in on the ground floor, connecting with like minds over there that are on the same page. And the talent is there. And the talent is here as well. So we're going to continue to do the cultural exchange program and eventually set up schools as well where we could just all stay connected.
And you know, I'd imagine this is some of the joys, you know, with the challenges that come with doing what you do, connecting with the kids, they travel and just seeing the joy of them. Somebody who otherwise might not be interested in STEM or science, technology, math, and everything, come like understand the concept and keep building.
Yeah, man, that makes me smile. Like that's literally the point of all of it. The Steam the Block Book of Revolution album. Like if even just one kid, if one person is like, yo, I never thought of it like that. Maybe I should take a closer look at science. Maybe I do want to be an engineer. Then that's a win, and that's the whole point of it. So I think going back to what we were talking about earlier with just the importance of STEM and just using the arts, it goes back to why I was slipping in college earlier too. It's just having that outlet, that expression. And I think that part too, giving young people the confidence to do that, to share their story, to share their light. That's important.
As we wrap up, man, this question is for me personally. How, how did you land your TED Talk and what was that experience like for you? Because I want to go to TED Talk solely for the purpose of saying, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Oh man, you just got to do it, bro. So there's no one answer to that, to be completely honest. That was nothing but God. Like this was an acquaintance of a friend, that kind of set that play up. So it's definitely possible. I can connect you with some folks, that probably would know a faster way to do that. But yeah, man, it definitely was a great experience. And I think even you using this platform, we got to just continue to use our voice, you know what I'm saying, in that way.
For sure. How can people connect with you, the foundation and everything, man?
Definitely. So connect with me at imagemusic.com. You can get the new album right there, ImaG Music. We got so much more music at oleent.com. That's our record company. Shout out to my partner, Entity. That's oleent.com. And then, of course, if you're on IG, connect with me at Image Music, ImaG Music.
Yeah.
At ImaG Music. I'm a G, no E. I'm a G, no E. There's no E on Image, by the way. You know why that is? So my original name came because I made in God's own image. I used to be a gospel rapper back in the day. But then as I got older, just expanding it, I realized that one, you can't spell imagination without image, ImaG, right? And then I'm a G. So it all makes sense.
It all makes sense. It all makes sense. I was like, hey man, you about to flip the science book on me. Which you did, but image and G, like no G in lasagna. I don't know what I just said.
But yeah, Image Music, man, definitely connect with me. Anybody that's looking to build, you want to work with young people, you're a dope artist, you're interested in STEM or STEAM, definitely let's link up. Let's continue to build this movement. Please connect with the tribe as well at Tribe Swaliga on Instagram, SWALIGA. And then our website, if you want to find out more about Swaliga Foundation, what we're up to, go to swaligafoundation.org. That's SWALIGA foundation.org.
You heard the man. If you enjoy what you heard, what you listened to, what you just watched, hit the subscribe button, hit them up. There's much, much, much more from where that came from, I bet. Listen, this is SitM Podcast. I'm your host, Reflex. Hit the subscribe button. Like I said, we got Cheery in the building, doing the behind the scenes stuff. AK in the building. Tutu in the building. Shout out to Charles. Shout out to Ma, the whole squad, the whole team. We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for listening. Share this info. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.